Good morning.
Good morning. This is my spoon named Spoonie.
We are here in the house of Miss Inquist. We're gonna do a science experiment and use the scientific method.
And now we're gonna go do it right now, but first we have to take a picture.
This is my assistant, Amelia. She will be helping me mix the ingredients and go through the scientific method. So, the scientific method
I already have a spoon.
Fantastic.
And I have
The scientific method is a series of steps to collect information or solve a problem. The first step in the series is to ask a question.
And now we have to go from ties and eels, and the ties and eels is 20 minutes.
So the question, this all started because Amelia said, "Mommy, how do we make Play-Doh?" After we asked the question, we had to do the next step of the scientific method, which is research.
And
so Mommy, that's me, went on the computer and we searched Play-Doh recipes.
And now the time is in Jordan's little foot.
And we looked all through the
That's
recipes.
my foot. That's my foot.
We looked through all the recipes and we decided that we had all the ingredients for the recipe that we're going to use in our next step, which is we hypothesized that if we use the recipe that we found online,
Honey, when is it going to be my turn?
in just a second, hypothesize, if we use this recipe that we found online, then we will make Play-Doh.
And now it's time for 20 minutes, and we're going to make it 20 minutes.
Finally, or not finally, the next step is to test. We are going to use this recipe we found to find out if we can make some Play-Doh.
And now title is 20 minutes to make a pot.
Hopefully it does not take 20 minutes for us to make this, but my lovely assistant is going to help. The first thing we need to do when we're making this to test our hypothesis is to make the Play-Doh.
I know, because that way we can work with a little spoon.
Okay, assistant,
Yeah.
Do we have flour?
And this little spoon is my spoon, and Mommy's has a big spoon.
Do we have cream of tartar?
Yeah.
Do we have salt? Yes. Do we have cooking oil? Yes. Do we have water?
Yeah.
Yes. Do we have food coloring? I left that one in the kitchen, but I will get it when that step happens. The directions say mix all the dry ingredients. The dry ingredients are any ingredients that are not wet. So the flour, the cream of tartar, and the salt are all going to go in the bowl first.
And now that stuff is going to be really good and we can play with it. Oh, we cannot eat it.
So we're first going to do 1 cup of flour. My assistant, my scientific assistant.
Help me?
Yes, please. We're filling the cup with flour to capacity. Okay, you can dump this now. You can dump this now, assistant. Assistant. Okay, dump it. Okay. Now we need 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Let me see. This is a teaspoon. No, you don't need that spoon yet. You need this. Will you please hold this for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I can.
Maybe. Oh, you're doing such a fabulous job. Everyone give a round of applause for my assistant. holding that spoon so well. Okay, so you're gonna do 2 teaspoons
Mommy,
of cream of tartar.
What is this?
This is called cream of tartar.
But is it spicy?
It is not spicy. I've actually never tasted it,
Can
but I do know it is edible.
Can I taste it?
Maybe later,
Okay.
right? That's not gonna help us with our experiment. We next need to do a 1/2 cup of salt.
Well, this one.
Here, hold this. I'm gonna fill this cup halfway. This cup has a halfway, but if you have a cup that doesn't tell you halfway, you need to get a new cup and make sure that you are filling it only a 1/2 cup of salt. Okay. Okay, put it in there. Now, it says before we add the wet ingredients, we need to mix it. So you can take your spoon and mix it finally.
When is it going to be the water?
Very nice mixing. Now we're gonna mix in our dry ingredients, or our wet ingredients, I'm sorry, into our dry ingredients. We need 1 tablespoon of oil.
What is that wet?
This is a wet ingredient. Now we need 1 cup of water. Uh-oh. Okay. Spill it. And now my lovely assistant is going to mix the dough,
No, little spoon.
your little spoon, to see if we made Play-Doh.
You do that. Wait. And first, this has to dump in here. Hey!
Mm-hmm.
The ingredients are finally good, but we didn't make dough yet.
All right, well, let's wait a second. So let's reflect on our scientific method.
It's
Amelia.
spoon.
We asked the question of how do we make Play-Doh? We did our research and we looked for a recipe that had all the ingredients that we had. We hypothesized and said if we use this recipe, then we will make Play-Doh. We did our test and now it's time
now this is
to
really
analyze.
sweet, but
So we're going to analyze.
Amelia,
Uh-oh, our paper got all wet.
I know that, 'cause that's okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we're gonna analyze. Did we make Play-Doh with this recipe, Amelia? Not yet. We did not make Play-Doh with this recipe. So the last part of our scientific method is to report. And we report that after trying this recipe, we found that it does not make Play-Doh. Amelia, what do you think we can do to make this more like Play-Doh?
Just put that color.
You think adding color would help? We will report back on our next experiment to see if it worked or not. Have a nice day.